Okay, people, we've done it. We've made it to the end of ethnicity. Our next 5 lessons are going to be looking at a case study of a specific ethnicity, and that's going to be Sudanese migrants in Australia. So here we go. This is our last lesson on ethnicity, and it's about research methods. Lesson 16. Our learning goals for today are: you're going to know different types of data, and you're going to be able to classify those different types of data. So again, I've just got one slide of notes, so that's exciting. And here it is. Types of data. So you've got primary data. That's an original source of data. Yeah. For example, letters, speeches, interviews. And then you've got secondary sources of data. Secondary data that's created later by using primary sources. So for example, newspaper articles. Journalists would read lots of letters, speeches, and interviews and write a newspaper article, or sociologists might gather lots of primary data to write a textbook. Yeah, this is very similar to in history, primary sources and secondary sources. That's one way of classifying data into primary or secondary. There's another way of classifying it. You did a little homework task on it last time, and that is comparing quantitative data. So that's numeric data as a number, rank, order, or quantity. For example, let's use coffee as an example. The coffee was 90 degrees hot and 200 ml. Yep, the quantities there being 90 degrees, that's the temperature, and 200 milliliters, that's the amount. And the other type of data is qualitative data. That's information that characterizes, and it's non-numeric. For example, the coffee was warm, brown, and tasty. Just got a couple of slides for you to have a look at here. So qualitative data can either be nominal or ordinal. Ordinals where it gets ranked, and quantitative numeric data can either be discrete, that's whole numbers, or continuous. Yeah, so discrete, I can't have 2.5 students in my class, but yeah, because the number of students in a class is discrete, but I could have a student whose height was 1.5 meters. Yeah, that's continuous. And hopefully you've covered that in maths at some point in your life. Another way to classify data, as we mentioned, is into primary and secondary. So primary data is, for example, interviews or observations. Secondary data might be a Google Analytics report looking at your website traffic later on, or information that you collect from the census. Yeah, the census is primary data, but you going and collecting information from that census and turning that into a report, that would be secondary. Okay, the activity today, going to draw up that table. Yeah, primary, secondary, qualitative, quantitative. So there's 4 categories. The data types I'm going to show you can either be qualitative primary, qualitative secondary, quantitative primary, or quantitative secondary. And I want you to put these dot points somewhere into those 4 categories, and you'll probably find there's 1 or 2 for each. Our video for today is on research methods. Take it away, sir.
Hello and welcome back to this Global Health YouTube channel. My name's Greg Martin. We're going to do a few videos that look at study design and research methods. Now we're going to look at epidemiological research, we're going to look at the social sciences like anthropology, and essentially we're going to try and unpack how it is that these different kinds of research fit together to provide us with the science and the understanding necessary to make clinical and public health decisions. Now typically people tend to think of research methods in terms of qualitative research and quantitative research, and they're these 2 distinct disciplines or 2 distinct types of research methods, and the qualitative research is the domain of the social scientists and anthropologists, and the quantitative research is the domain of the epidemiologists and the economists. And what I'd like to talk to you a little bit about is the fact that these 2 groups of people actually use both sets of research methods. So let's just jump right in and try and understand these different research techniques and research methods. Qualitative research tends to answer questions like who, what, why, when, and how. It tries to unpack and understand the nature of a phenomenon or the qualities associated with a particular phenomenon. By contrast, quantitative research answers the question of how much. it considers the idea of magnitude. So when we're talking about magnitude, the how much, the quantitative research, we're talking about the how much of, firstly, an occurrence, so the incidence or prevalence of a disease in a community, and we're talking about the magnitude or the how much of a relationship. So the association, for example, between a risk factor and an outcome. So now I'm just going to quickly give you an overview of some of the research methods used in these two groups of methods, qualitative research and quantitative research. In qualitative research, we may do a simple observation of what's happening in a community, or you might be looking down a microscope, for example. That's qualitative research. We may do in-depth interviews or key informant interviews. We may do focus groups and speak to a group of people. We may do surveys. All of this is to try and unpack and understand the underlying nature or qualities within a phenomenon. The other group, the quantitative research, now we've got interventional quantitative research and we've got non-interventional. By non-interventional, we mean it's observational. We're watching to see what happens in the world and we're counting something up. So in that sense, we might be doing case control studies, and we'll talk more about that in a future video. We may be doing cohort studies, and I'm specifically going to talk in a future video about the difference between those two and their relative strengths and weaknesses. We may do an ecological study, and we may, of course, also be doing a survey and just collecting data in that sense. Then, of course, there's the interventional trials, and the one we talk about most are randomized control trials or double-blind randomized control trials, and we're going to do an entire video that looks specifically at that. Okay, thanks for listening. I hope that was helpful. This was just a synopsis, an overview of the various research methods that we use. In future videos, we're going to dig down a little deeper and look at some of the details of these different study designs and research methods that get used. If you're thinking of subscribing to this channel, let me give you one or two reasons why I think that's a great idea. Firstly, if you subscribe to the channel, you get an email alert whenever there's a new video posted, and so you'll be up to date on the things that we say and do here on the channel. But secondly, I send out video content that goes exclusively to people who subscribe to this channel. I think of the people who subscribe to the channel as a kind of a subset of the broader audience, and they're more likely to be people that are interested in job opportunities in the global health space and where it is that they might find opportunities to do consulting work in global health. And so I'm putting together, they're a little less formal, they're a little less flashy, but videos that are just kind of talk people through what's out there and what's happening in the global health workspace. So subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. I'll be back.
Our reflection activity with the title Research, I want you to do a CSI, which I think we've done a few times. I want you to come up with, when you think research, what color comes to mind, what symbol, and what image. And you're going to all hand draw all of that stuff in your exercise book. Your homework for today, get excited, is to do this content test. So you just go there, Sociology Quiz 9, do that over and over again until you can get 100%, unless you get 100% first time, in which case, go team. Now just remember, it's a really good idea to go back and do these content tests throughout the whole year. It's always the same naming convention. It's bit.ly/Sociology Quiz 1, and then we're all out to number 9 at the moment. So it'd be a good idea to go and do some of those quizzes. I would recommend it. For those of you that are keen as beans, I've got a little bit of bonus homework for you. Read those 2 pages from your textbook, 106 and 107, and have a look at this. It's an introduction to research methods. bit.ly/research 2020. Yes. Research is hugely important. That's how humans know how as much as they do, why we have conquered the planet. Research methods become very important when you do a postgraduate degree. You'll be doing your own independent research if you do a master's or a PhD, and getting your head around research methods at this stage in your academic career is highly advised. Thank you so much for taking part in this shortish lesson on research methods, and remember, time to keep it real.